Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new series that will be recorded and posted every Thursday to go alongside my new history series. Where I read you an article from the latest edition of the BBC History magazine that I've now subscribed to. So the Thursday edition's series is going to be called an extra slice of history with the Butterfly Princess. This is where I've researched an article of my choosing, something that I find interesting from the History Extra app, and I would like to share my research with you to hopefully share and inspire my love of history with you. So, as today it is 31st of October, which of course, as we know, is Halloween. So I thought that it would be quite good to share with you a bit of history about Halloween, how it originated, and how it was celebrated throughout the ages. I'm sure we're all familiar with, as kids, I certainly did. As kids, we all dressed up in Halloween costumes, whether that be as a witch and have a witch's mask on or whatever. And most of us would go out trick-or-treating with our friends and parents and knock on doors and hopefully get a load of sweets in our little plastic pumpkin box. That's what I did when I was a child anyway. So I'm going to share with you today a bit of history about the Halloween tradition. So the origins of Halloween can be traced back to the 7th century. This is when a pope called Pope Boniface introduced a sort of religious day, and they named this religious day All Saints' Day. This All Saints' Day was used to be celebrated on the 13th of May, and this celebration was to honour people whose souls had reached to heaven. The feast day of All Saints' Day moved to November in the 8th century. During that time, 31st of October has been known as Halloween, Hallows Eve, or Halloween. So, the Christian date of Halloween of May to November of All Saints' Day was moved to accommodate a Celtic festival known as and pronounced as Sowing, SESOWE, and then INN. Sowing, and this marked the end of the harvest and beginning of winter. The Festival of Sowing was one of the festivals that was marked in the Celtic calendar, and in Ireland, people gathered around for feasts and bonfires. Yet in the olden days, bonfires were actually lit on Halloween night, and this was because of in them days when Halloween first came about, the reality between the living and the dead was a very slim factor. So what people actually thought or believed of in that time was that the souls of the living and the dead and the ghosts would be guided and come together. And in medieval times, people would sort of light candles in order for these ghosts and ghosts to come back to the houses of the living, so they could like reconnect and be together all together once more. Now pumpkins. Now obviously this is a well-known tradition, especially today, to crave pumpkins. You know, you see a lot of pumpkins in windows, don't you, where people have carved a face in it. But pumpkins haven't always been the face of Halloween and been synonymous with Halloween as they are today. In actual fact, in Ireland, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries in Ireland, people used to carve turnips instead of pumpkins. Now, this tradition of the 19th and 20th centuries of the people of Ireland carving pumpkins, what dates back to an Irish folk tale about a character called Stinking Jack, and this can be a folk tale can be dated back all the way back to the early 1600s, so like the early 17th century. So this is the folktale story of Stinky Jack, and this is sort of the main bones of the story. So it was said that Jack trapped the devil and would release him, only if the devil promised Jack that he would get to heaven when he died. So that was what Jack hoped to do. Like, if you believe in heaven and hell, people believe that, you know, when you die, you want to go to heaven, you don't want to go to hell because of all the demons and the bad stuff that happens there. If you're evil, I suppose you do deserve to go to hell, but if you believe in hell, heaven, and you've been a good person on earth, then you want to go to heaven after your death to enjoy eternal peace and harmony. So that was the promise that Jack made the devil promise him, but Jack's wish to enter heaven wasn't permitted because heaven would not allow the soul of Jack to enter the region of heaven, because obviously they'd obviously thought that he'd been a very bad person on earth. So obviously when you don't go to heaven, you're obviously thought to be punished. So Jack's punishment was that he had to walk the earth forevermore, and that was his punishment. He couldn't go to heaven, so he was stuck down on earth to suffer for all eternity. And as the tradition goes, hence the fact why Irish people carved turnips was because some say the devil gave Jack a burning coal to light his way all through earth, so we could find his way. So he lit this piece of coal, and he actually carved a turnip to hold this candle in. Like nowadays, when you see people in people's windows, pumpkins, they have they've carved the pumpkins and they have candles in them to light them up. And so that's how the story goes with like how the turnips originated sort of in Ireland to carve turnips in Halloween in Ireland during the 19th and 20th century. Now, obviously, we now need to know why the pumpkins became very popular, and now why pumpkins have become a synonymous and very recognisable tradition of Halloween. So pumpkins became popular in the 19th century. This is when a lot of Irish people moved to the USA because obviously we know that a lot of Irish people moved to the USA from Ireland, emigrated, I should use the best word, emigrated to America in order to have a better way of life. They thought that they'd have a better way of living, better job prospects, and also they wanted to escape as well, I presume, because of in Ireland they had a lot of potato famine and a lot of starvation, so they wanted a better way of life. So a lot of the people of Ireland, that's why a lot of people emigrated to the USA. They travelled to the USA on ships and so forth, as that was a very popular means of transport in days. So obviously pumpkins are native to the United States, so this became the cheaper option for the Irish immigrants in the USA to carve pumpkins instead of carving turnips on Halloween. So hence the fact why we have the tradition of pumpkin carving still at Halloween today. The trick or treating. So as we know today, a lot of people go trick or treating. You know, on Halloween, people will knock on people's doors, and hopefully someone will answer. So when somebody answers the door, the trick or treaters will say to the person who answers the door, "Trick or treat," and the person will either say trick or treat, and hopefully the treat will be a tasty, you know, a chocolatey treat or a sweet treat, something like that. Now, the trick or treating tradition is people didn't always get sweets or play harmless tricks on Christmas on Halloween. They in Britain especially, there was a tradition called sowing. So this was a thing that the poor of society would go and knock on people's doors offering prayers for the dead in exchange for food. This was very popular within Victorian times, and they would and particularly in Victorian times, in British Victorian times, they would be offered soul cakes in exchange, in the hope that by receiving this soul cake that they would be forgiven for their sins and so forth. And in the olden times in Yorkshire, they had a very popular thing called cake night, and this was the tradition of, in the region of Yorkshire, they used to love to bake loads of cakes on Halloween. Dressing up, so obviously we still dress up today in like witches outfits or as ghosts or whatever. Most kids do it. I did it as when I was a child. So people dressed up and performed in exchange for money, and found and money and food. And obviously this was all of the range in in Ireland and Scotland during the 16th century, so during the 1500s. There was something called, in the olden days, there was something called Mischief Night, and this was celebrated on the 30th of April each year, and then it was moved to the 4th of November. This is the earliest recording of this celebration being marked on the 4th of November is recorded as late as in the 18th century, in the year of 1790. And men and boys settled grudges by setting livestock loose to their enemies or people who they've had rows with. And in the mid 20th century, and obviously not only that, but men settled grudges, but not only that was this was a particular popular pastime with boys, that on the night of Halloween in them days, or Mischief Night as it was called, boys would go around and vandalise people's property, as they believed, it wasn't a crime and they could get away with it as long as they did it on Mischief Night. Obviously, on Halloween, we don't, I would hope that most people don't go around, vandalising people's property. The more widely practices of trick-or-treating, that the concept that we know today, that this concept was introduced in the mid 20th century, and obviously confectionery companies cottoned onto this and had a light bulb moment, and they obviously thought, well, we could cash in on this. So they decided to make sort of miniature individual wrap treats, so people could be used for that. So obviously, when I was a kid, my parents, my dad would have a sort of a big bowl of many different, individually wrapped sweets and chocolates, and he would, whenever any trick-or-treaters knocked on the door, he would bring that bowl out, and they would then be allowed to choose what sweets or little individual chocolates they could have for their little package to take home. And the last bit of dressing up, so that's the most fun bit as a little kid, isn't it? For Halloween, dressing up, choosing a costume, wearing a witch's mask. I can remember some very what's the word? I can remember some very memorable sort of witches' costumes when I was growing up in Halloween, and I would dress up, so I would always wear like the black cape, and then I would wear a witch's mask with some of the long flowing hair and the short sticky up hair, and the really scary faces. But when I always wore the mask, I always found it difficult to breathe. But it was still fun dressing up when you're a kid. Everything's fun as when you're a kid. life isn't as fun when you're an adult, is it? Let's face it. But we all have to grow up and move on with life. So the ritual of dressing up for Halloween dates back to the ancient Celts who believed that spirits roamed around to roamed around to harm the Celts. So the Celts would actually dress up in order to avoid being caught by the demons, and they would sort of trick the demons by dressing up so they wouldn't recognise them. So that concludes this week's episode of an extra slice of history with the Butterfly Princess show. Episodes of the of the a slice of history and an extra slice of history will go out each week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've already told you the subject of next Tuesday's article read. That's going to be on the downfall of Thomas Cromwell. And for the next edition, next Thursday, of the butterfly of an extra slice of history with the Butterfly Princess show, I'm going to tell you a bit about bonfire night, the traditions of bonfire night, the gunpowder plot, and how that has developed in the traditions of it, because as we know, that next Tuesday, 5th of November, is bonfire night and Guy Fawkes night. So I thought that would be a nice way to mark the occasion by telling you a bit of history about bonfire night. So I hope you can join me for that. Until then, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you again very soon. Bye bye.